Ooh, 5 diamonds. Alright, let me go grab my wallet. How's it going, guys? Bluebeard Gamer here. Welcome back to Quarantine SMP. I'm so excited to be back. As you guys can see, I've put on my festive holiday outfit. It's been a long time since I've broken this thing out. I want to say it's back when I did that Let's Build of the holiday cottage. That was, or the holiday cabin, I don't know, that was, what, 3 or 4 years back? So, it's been a bit, but I've broken it out. It's certainly a dated skin, but I really like it. So here it is. It's the holiday season. I didn't have it in the last episode because I recorded that thing over 2 weeks, and at the time when I was recording it, it actually wasn't the holidays yet. So, all that rambling aside, cool holiday skin. There we go. The reason I'm down here this episode is because I am looking to do some expansion, and I'm very excited about that. I put a lot of work into a cool design for a farm down here, and I'm a huge fan of it. It's not completely automated. I do have to seed it with crops, but the return on it I'm really looking forward to, because I don't know a lot about designs for this type of farm, so I don't know if it's something that's been made before, and I didn't look into it. I just kind of experimented entirely on my own to see what would work. So here we go, we'll see what happens with that. But first, we have Secret Santa. So I mentioned this earlier, maybe 2 or 3 episodes back at this point, but our server is doing a Secret Santa event, and I did sign up for it, of course, so I have someone to get a gift for, and I believe the person I'm getting a gift for is Shiki, which I have never interacted with him on the server, actually. We've just never, at least I don't think I have. I don't think we've ever been out at the same time, but I wanted to get him a nice gift, and so that's why we're here in the Nether. It's because I had some ideas for what kind of gift to get him, and it's going to involve a lot of this. If you guys see this, you already know what I'm going to be doing. So, I'm not going to really record it, of course, but I'm going to time-lapse a little bit of me gathering this stuff so you guys can see, if you haven't done this method before, what a pain in the butt it is. At the very least, I would show you the time-lapse footage if it didn't randomly just disappear from replay mod. Thank you, replay mod. Alright guys, we burned through about half of our beds, and we managed to find 11 ancient debris, which I already had 1 from the baby zombie project, which means that we're going to have 3 netherite ingots, which I'm going to use 1 for the gift, and I'll throw a bunch of other things in there. I'll probably show what the gift is before the actual Secret Santa footage. But that'll leave 2 for us, and I know exactly what I want to use them for. So we have 1 for the gift, and 2 lodestones for me. Oh, yeah. This is the best use for these things. I can't think of another good thing that you could possibly use netherite ingots for, other than lodestones. Alright, so I just realized I didn't show you what the gift actually was in total, but that's fine. I've already buried it. It's ready for the Christmas Secret Santa thingamajigger that's happening in a couple days from when I'm recording this. I just had to make sure I got it done in time, because my gosh, that would have been bad if I hadn't. Anyway, what we're doing now is we're getting to work on that farm I mentioned earlier. So, the thing that I most wanted to farm, and I think you guys can probably imagine what it is now after the sugarcane. I've been farming it quite a lot already, but it was kind of inconvenient. Check it out, this room looks much better when it's not covered in soul sand, right? So yeah, today we're designing a Nether Wart farm, and I've already designed one in a test world. I am very happy with how it turned out, but I'm still going to build it on camera, because I want to show you guys the redstone techniques I used, because I'm quite proud of them, and I used certain techniques in that you would never expect. Or at least ones that I wouldn't have expected before building this thing. Alright, so this may seem counterintuitive, but we're actually going to start by building this front stone brick wall, because that's going to allow me to get some good measurements for how far back we need to build this thing. Alright, that's a nice start. I'll explain what all this does in a little bit. For now, I'm actually going to start plugging in some redstone and start actually building this thing. Alright, so the first step is putting in a bunch of glass. Yep, that's how exciting it is. Oh yeah, you're also going to need a lot of hoppers. Also, I'll give you guys a tip. What's really useful is actually checking your blueprints to make sure you're building it right, because more likely than not, you aren't. Alright, so this looks kind of messy, but I'm just going to tell you guys, you want your glass to look like this for the bottom layer. The bottom layer is actually the most complicated bit. After that, the higher up layers are much easier to work with. It's just the bottom layers where you have to fit some of the more complicated redstone. So yeah, it's kind of messy. This row is basically just sunk down. That's most of what you need to know. And then we have to slide in our hoppers like so. Oh, and I messed it up. Way too easy to mess it up. Alright, now I fixed the hoppers. They're supposed to be lined up with this area over here. And now for the bottom layer, you can only fit in 16 soul sand with the way I designed my redstone. You could fit in more if I didn't have these glass walls on the side. I decided that for the future of these, kind of like how the sugarcane one works, I'd like to keep as much redstone as I can outside of this layer and this layer, rather have it in the middle 6, so I can stack these next to each other and they won't interfere with each other. So, that's what I've done here. Basically, if you ignored these two, if you just had this thing built up on the surface somewhere, and you didn't have to worry about walls, you could more or less expand this out to 4. Alright, now we need to start slotting in some other resources here. We're going to need a few observers for this. Not too many. Depends on how big you make this thing. Actually, let's just grab a lot of what we need now. I have so much glass on me. Good grief. I do need a bit of glass. I just don't know why I brought this much. Alright, so we need to have our 2 dispensers like this. Or sorry, observers. These are dispensers. And they go like this. Now, don't put anything in these yet. Trust me, you want to wait. And then this can just be a redstone line out a long way. We're just going to bring it out to here. For now, this layer is actually going to be important. This is where you're going to be doing a lot of your working around. If that makes sense. I'm sure it doesn't. Okay, so once you have this redstone hooked up to these observers, you have to set up a repeater here. Don't worry about the ticks. Next, we're going to be building a pulse extender, so you just need the redstone dust and the comparators for that. Just a small one, nothing too major. Now here's where the fun kicks in. You have a repeater here. You have a repeater like this. Actually, from what I remember, this has to be at minimum 2 ticks. Other than that, it shouldn't matter. But this has to be at least 2 ticks for this design to work. And also, make sure that you seal all of this area in with glass. Like so. Make sure you do this. We don't want anything getting out. Grab out some stone brick slabs. Because now, we are going to be putting in some stone brick slabs. Like so. So you basically want to line up the stone brick slabs with the soul sand. And put them along this layer here. So basically, the block where the dispensers are, the top part of that, over where you put your redstone line. Now you can navigate through here, because it's 1.5 blocks. You have to crouch, but you can navigate through there. But water cannot go through here, because there's a block in the way. That's very important for this. This is the start of one of your cells. And also, while you're at it, just make this wall go up. You may as well now, or you're going to forget about it. I know I will if I don't. So just start extending this wall upward as you go. Plus then all the glass will meld together, assuming you're playing with shaders, and it'll look a lot better, rather than having all these lines everywhere. Alright, next you run your redstone like this, as you can see here. We want to make sure it does not connect up, although it doesn't really matter in this case. Just leave it like this. You need the redstone to be here. You want a dispenser out this far. So the way you can look at it to make it easier to tell, this is where the glass wall comes down. You need a hopper under there, and then another hopper outside from that. So basically, to add 2 extra hoppers to where we had before, this is our dispenser. This is where the item elevator is going to be, to get the items out of this farm. And then we have all of this space here to work with wiring, which, trust me, you will need that space. And I just remembered a correction I had to do. You have to make sure the dispenser is facing... If you're looking at the farm this way, the dispenser has to face the left. I had it facing this way originally, and that was wrong. Because... Let's go grab a target block here. And I think this could probably be just a regular redstone piece coming out to this way, but I like the target block because it looks better. Now it's just a simple matter of making our... I didn't bring any soul sand, did I? Oh, I did! Look at me being prepared unexpectedly. Although that did just remind me I have to go grab some kelp. Oh, I just ran all the way back up here, and I realized my kelp is probably... Yep, my kelp's in here. I had it in my ender chest the entire time. I am a certified dum-dum. Please laugh. Alright, so we'll start building this up. We're just going to build it up a little higher so that we can build redstone around it. Just, you can leave that be for now. It's not a huge deal. I'm going to explain what these do now. So this redstone lamp is actually going to indicate when the farm is about ready to be harvested. And I will explain how we're going to get that to work in the system we're about to build. This button is going to be what controls the system actually being harvested. So it's all automatic when we activate it. Doesn't that mean it's manual, actually, now that I think about it? While we're at it, place a redstone torch right there. The button will turn it off. That's how you know you put it in the right spot. And by the way, this has to be a wooden button. Do not use a stone button. you has to be a wooden button. Now what you do is you extend from here, as I have done here. You need to have a redstone line coming up this way, and then you build a bunch of glass surface up here. I built most of this out of glass, specifically for the reason that glass is a transparent block, so it will not be powered by the redstone around it, and I want to make sure that the system does not interact with other bits of the system unless it is specifically designed to do so, which is why it is designed like this. And then you can seal this part off. That's the best part of all about this, in my opinion, is that you can just seal this top part off here with glass, and it looks really nice. You can just seal this bit completely off here. There we go, just like that. Now we have to start building some redstone. Not that we haven't done that already, but you get what I mean. We're gonna run this line up here like so. This needs to be a dot. This needs to be a repeater. And now we're gonna have to do some comparator messes over here. This one on subtract mode, and I'll explain why. What we have designed here is we are designing a circuit that can detect when a certain signal strength has been outputted, and only when that signal strength is strong enough will this signal come down here to light the lamp up. So basically, once the farm is grown, it'll be outputting a strong enough signal to light the system up. That's what this circuitry is doing. There we go. You need a hopper here, and then you just need a certain amount of items. I'm going to use wool because it's the closest thing I have, plus I'm rich. You throw those all in there. Just like this. As you can see, it's now outputting a signal, and it's subtracting. Since this is in subtract mode, this is going to neutralize any signal that's above a certain strength, which I believe in this case would be 9. Actually, no, wait. I think it's about 12. Signal strength has to be about 12 in order for this to get through, and nothing else lower will work. Alright, now you need to set up 2 hoppers that are facing into each other here. Next up, you need a stone brick here with a redstone torch locking this hopper. And now you can finally link these up. You just have a line running directly into this block here. We're making a lot of progress already. Now what we have is whenever this signal is outputted from this observer here, it'll run through and it'll unlock this hopper. The reason this is on a 2-tick delay is because if you just have a 1-tick pulse, it is not a long enough pulse to actually turn off this redstone torch. So you need to extend it to 2 ticks with this delay here so that it'll actually turn off the torch long enough for the hopper to unlock and 1 item can go through. Now what we need is we need a stone brick over here and a redstone torch locking this hopper. So now both hoppers are locked, and now we're going to put in the circuitry that will unlock this redstone torch. As you can see, it's still there. Alright, the signal to unlock this torch is actually going to be hooked up to the same signal from this button. So we're going to have some glass along here. Make sure you run your redstone appropriately. And this signal will be on, of course, because you have your torch here. Alright, so your system now should look exactly like this. From this redstone torch, you have 5 bits here of redstone dust. Also, make sure this is stone brick, because if it's glass, as I did there, the redstone current will actually not travel downward. And it's very important in this case that you do it. See? It is now work. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I just said that. It is now work. No one heard me say that. You can't prove otherwise. And all we need to do for this circuit here is we need to run the redstone dust from the 3rd block here into a block right here. I am using stone brick because I just like stone brick. And you put a redstone torch on top of that. Before it does anything with this redstone torch, it is going to be depowered by the current. So now, whenever we push the button, a current will be going off that way. But more importantly, it's hard to see. It's unlocking that redstone torch there. Keep an eye on that torch and watch as I push this button. It's on now. It's off right now. And that's why it needs to be a wooden button. We need the signal to be long enough for 4 items to get out of this hopper into the first hopper. Also, whenever you're building this, quick tip for you guys, don't get stuck in your item elevator. It's not advised. And what item are we putting in these hoppers, you may ask? Boats. No, I am not kidding. As far as I'm aware, this can be any item that does not stack. I decided to use boats because 1, they're cheap, and 2, I think it's funny to say that you can use boats in redstone. So we have 4 boats in here. Make sure they're in the right hopper here. So now whenever this signal is activated, we have enough time for 1 boat to go from this hopper into this hopper. And every time the signal is activated, another boat will be added. Oh, never mind. That's my own boat for personal reasons. Now watch this. When you have the 4th boat... Whoops. There we go. Now that you have the 4th boat, boom. The signal is strong enough that it comes down here, lights up the lamp. That's exactly what we wanted. And then when we push the button, all the boats are returned to this hopper. So that's the difficult part of the redstone actually set up. Alright, so the only bit you actually have left to do for the redstone for the farm itself is connecting this redstone signal here up to the redstone signal that's going to be for each layer. And for the record, I'll be building more layers on this and I will show you, but the layers above this, because they will not have this complicated redstone, you can make the layers up to 4. The only reason this one's 2 is because I needed to fit this redstone circuitry in here. This is going to be detecting when our Nether Wart grows. Since the Nether Wart grows in 4 distinct stages, starting from the sprout, going up into the full version, every time it detects a Nether Wart, and then a change of the Nether Wart, that's when the signal goes out, and that's why we have 4 boats. Now what this redstone is going to do is, as you can see, the observers are hooked up to dispensers. We're going to be putting water buckets in there. So, whenever the signal is activated, the water buckets will dispense, wash away all the items, and then pick the water back up again. Now you may say, Bluebeard Gamer, that an observer can detect changes in water level and spam the current. Then you'll be getting way too many redstone signals. You're absolutely right. That's why this system is set up. This pulse extender allows us to lock this hopper so it will not make any changes in its redstone signal until the system is done washing away all the water. That's when this unlocks and the signal can activate again. Perhaps a demonstration is in order. Alright, here we are in my creative test world where I built this thing, and as you can see, it looks pretty much identical to what we have in our machine area. I don't have a name for it yet, so it's just our machine area. And this was me experimenting with a second layer, and as you can see, it's 4 wide. The circuitry down here did not get copied up to here, just this back and left side circuitry here, or I guess in our case, it's now the right side. Alright, so the tick speed is 500, I just did it again to double check. And as you guys can see, obviously me planting this Nether Wart here, it's going to be starting to grow at its regular pace. Now this is the big one. That was already going to send a signal. And let's just stand here. As you can see, as it's growing, it's sending signals and letting boats out. Once it's fully grown, as it is now, that's when the light goes on. Now, it's not a perfect measurement, because not all of the Nether Wart will be grown at the same time. So if this Nether Wart is the first one to grow, then the others won't have fully grown yet, and you're not going to be getting the benefits of a full-grown crop. If this one's the last one, or really slow, for example, then you're still getting a really large harvest. If I push this button, you guys are going to see the water activate. I'm going to come over here, because the water's going down. This signal just unlocked, and the observer can now detect things again. The whole signal wasn't activating before. And then, as you can see, it's dispensing all the Nether Wart down there. Here's a better look, in case you really wanted a better look. So now it's just a matter of actually connecting up the circuitry. And you have the recipes of everything you need right here already. All you need to do is just make a torch tower right next to where the circuitry you built earlier is. And then you can stack that as high as you want for as many modules as you have. And then you run your redstone out like this. I don't have any redstone on me, how embarrassing. You run your redstone out like this. Now when that block is powered by the torch tower, this signal will activate. And the torch tower will be appropriate for the entire length because this whole thing here takes up 4 blocks. You have hopper, soul sand, harvest area, and then you can just leave an empty gap space, and that'll mean that whenever you stack this again on top, so you have hoppers, soul sand, slab, blank space. The hoppers... Sorry, I can't speak. I don't know how much I've had to cut out and redo of this, because I just keep saying the wrong things. It's great recording at night, honestly, it's awesome. Because torch towers work in even increments, you're able to have it as 4, in terms of height for the actual module itself, and then everything still lines up properly. You don't do any fancy redstone stuff to make it otherwise. So you guys now have set up the entire circuitry for the bottom module. All we need to do now is populate with our buckets. Alright, now you can slap in your water buckets. And there you go. Just go over here, find your button, give it an old press, and see if it works. I can't help but notice that that did not work. Oh, I'm an absolute idiot. I have the observers facing the wrong way. Of course I do. Oh, for goodness sakes. Water bucket in there, water bucket in there. Putting down the glass. And that should be better. Now if you go find your button, give it a little press. Water is dispensed. The pulse timer over there, or the pulse extender, sorry. Locked this long enough for the signal to work, and there we go. So now this bottom layer is built. I'm going to build the rest of these off camera because there's really nothing else to see, as well as setting up all of this, because this is just basically a repeat of what I did over here. And no one needs to see that again. Alright guys, I've been AFKing down here a little bit. I did manage to build up a few layers of this thing. I ran out of glass and out of emeralds to get more glass. So I've only been able to do 3 normal modules on top of the bottom one, and I'll show you how those look, because except for my test world, you haven't seen a full module yet. So I'll just go up to the top one and show you, because that one's the easiest to see, even though the glass isn't entirely complete. Yeah, it basically just looks like this. You just extend it by 2, and you ignore the redstone on this side. And I know Nether Wart does not need light to grow, but I decided to put in end rods because that makes it look a little more like the sugarcane farm. It makes it look a bit more uniform when it's next to it. And also, it helps you to actually see the farm, because I think it looks really cool the way it is, but if you don't have the end rods in there, you really can't see what it looks like. It just looks like a big shadow. So as you guys can see down there, the light has turned on with our little sensor, and it looks like it's been pretty accurate. There are a few up at the top here that aren't fully grown, for example. But, more or less, the bottom layers, for example, since they were planted a little earlier, a lot of these ones are fully grown. Let's look at the second layer, for example. The vast majority of these are fully grown. Or they're really close. So, I'm curious what kind of harvest this is going to give us. We don't have much in terms of actual blocks. This is basically a stack and 3/4 of Nether Wart that we planted. So to harvest that, I'd be curious to see how much we get, especially since it wouldn't all be a full harvest. So let's go push our button, and we'll find out. We can watch this thing in action. Oh yeah, that looks cool. And there we go. All the Nether Wart is being put in here. Now this will fill up quite quickly. Or I guess this hopper will. Yeah, as you can see here, it's filling up quite fast, because all of these top hoppers are also filling up. But we should be fine, because it's just going to be inputting into this dispenser still one at a time, so it's never going to overwhelm this circuit. Oh, and look at that. Normally this thing isn't lit up because you have to manually push it, so it won't have the occasional lights going down it like the sugarcane does, but this. Look at this. This is cool. And we also have it set up same as before, to where we can put a shulker box in if we want. I already had a stack and a half on me, just because that was from the spare Nether Wart from when I didn't plant. We're going to ignore this, and we're going to see how good of a harvest we get. And already, we're almost at 2 stacks, which is great. Because all we had to do was plant it and then push a button. We didn't have to go through and harvest it manually. I didn't learn until right before I made this farm that you can use fortune and get more Nether Wart. If I had known that, I probably wouldn't even have decided to build this, because I was just getting sick and tired of how long I was waiting for Nether Wart to barely not get much. Alright, the harvest just ended. Let's see how much we got. Whoa! 3.5 stacks. That is not bad at all. Not bad at all. Because the thing is, we can just let this grow in the meantime. It's not taking up space in our base. And then we can just come by occasionally, push the button, and get a decent yield of Nether Wart. As well as we can expand upon this in the future once we have more glass, and we can get an even larger yield of Nether Wart. Now we won't have to harvest it much, because Nether Wart isn't super useful unless you're either making lots of potions, you're making lots of Nether Wart blocks for some reason, or you're making red nether bricks. So, we're obviously doing a bunch of red nether bricks right now because of that baby zombie project I was working on. So we'll get some good use out of this for now. Alright, we'll just store the rest of it in here so we don't have to worry about it. Alright guys, now we're going to cut over to Secret Santa. I am looking forward to this. I have no idea who has me for their gift, or even if that person actually managed to get me a gift, because I'm going to be honest, I'm expecting at least one person to forget their gift for someone else throughout this whole Secret Santa thing, but we'll see how it goes. I'm very excited, so let's kick over to that. On that cold Christmas afternoon, the Quarantine SMP members gathered together to celebrate the Secret Santa event. The first person was HuJoe giving the gift to Gabriel the Gamer. He made a nice little scavenger hunt. I'm not going to show that because it was kind of long. and you can find that on probably HuJoe's video and Gabriel's video when they inevitably make their videos. But here was the problem. Not everyone showed up for the Secret Santa, so we inevitably ran into this problem immediately after that.
Wait, Gabriel, who do you have?
I have Darkest Twilight out of.
Bluebeard, who do you have?
I have Shiki.
Gaming Suit, who do you have?
Salty.
Remcoms, who do you have?
Serious?
So we're done then.
Not on. And
yeah,
he's not
so we're
on.
done.
So yeah, that was the Secret Santa event. Honestly, I was expecting a lot more. As in, I was expecting people to show up. And I'm not gonna lie, I was also kind of expecting a gift from the Secret Santa, because, you know, that's kind of the point. But that's okay, we can just give them lumps of coal. All of them lumps of coal for not showing up. I was going to say the usual thing I say in all these videos of, oh, this is gonna be way shorter than I expected, sorry guys. And then it turns out to be a completely normal length, perhaps even longer than previous videos. But I've already started editing for this, and in Nether Wart farm, I actually ended up talking a lot more about it than I thought, so this will be a regular length video. And it may be a little boring because I'm just doing redstone stuff, and I know not everyone is a redstone person. So yeah, hopefully eventually I get my gift, and then I can make a bit of a video about that, and that'll be fun. And if Shiki never logs on and grabs his reward, I can just claim it for myself. Because who knew I could use a third lodestone. That'd be amazing. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you sat through this Nether Wart farm thing, you're an absolute legend. Because I'm going to be honest, after watching that myself in editing, I was not expecting you to, so good on you. This is probably going to be the last video I'm making before Christmas in terms of Quarantine SMP, because as far as I can remember, yeah, I'm just not going to be able to put out another one of these before Christmas. And I'm not going to be playing on the server for Christmas, so don't expect one immediately after that, is what I'm trying to say. I will probably be making one around New Year's time, by that logic. So, maybe expect one then. But until next time, guys, this is Bluebeard Gamer, signing off. God bless America. Oh, and Merry Christmas.